Dave Rubin said something very interesting on Twitter that just shows what his thoughts are and what his, motives and intentions are. So there was a DNC deputy chairman who wore a t-shirt that said, "I don't believe in borders" in Spanish. And Dave Rubin quote tweeted that and said this. He said, "The Democratic Party has been completely eaten by the far left. Decent liberals, those who believe in the rule of law and equality of opportunity, need to find a new home." So Dave Rubin, this is one of the biggest exaggerations on the entire planet. The idea that the entire Democratic Party has been eaten up, okay, by the far left, by the way, which, well, what do you even consider the far left, dude? Because people who are consistent on free speech, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, when Ann Coulter was blocked from speaking at Berkeley, they both came out and said, "Let them speak." And they actually gave very eloquent explanations as to why. Bernie Sanders was like, "Oh, if you're just going to shut him down, then that means you can't really win with your arguments." So they both are very principled, and Bernie Sanders specifically is one of the most, if not the most, policy-driven candidate in the United States of America, okay, at least at the federal level. And so what you're talking about is you don't even know what you're talking about anymore, because anybody who knows this knows that the DNC is one of the most center-left establishments that there is. I wrote an article for the Progressive Army about how there was no Bernie Sanders supporter that was actually, put into the DNC in any position there whatsoever. So there's essentially no representation for them at all. And we just saw Tom Perez come out and actually endorse Andrew Cuomo, which is insane because you can't do that as part of the DNC. The DNC is supposed to remain neutral in primaries. So who are you talking about? Who are you saying is the far left? Because I'll tell you one thing. Hillary Clinton and, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, if you think that those people are far left, what do you think of Bernie Sanders? What do you think of Jeremy Corbyn? I know Jeremy Corbyn's not part of the Democratic Party, but I don't know what your spectrum is. What is your scale? What the fuck are you even talking about? But the main exaggeration here is the idea that because there was a deputy DNC chairman who wore this shirt, that either a majority or a vast majority of the Democrats believe in open borders, or that now the Democratic Party has been eaten by the far. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? None of that means that at all. You're just exaggerating. You're trying to find things that you can be outraged about because your entire being is now based on outrage culture. Because that's how you get more patrons. That's how you get more, traction. You're just trying to find these little itty bits. And not to mention the shit that happens to the Republican Party. I think there's a record number of neo-Nazis who have been running as Republicans in this election cycle. Patrick Little and a bunch of other weird-ass motherfuckers who are running as Republicans. So, in fact, we almost had Roy Moore very, very skimmily, barely losing in that election in Alabama to Doug Jones. I don't really like Doug Jones that much, to be honest. But anybody's better than Roy Moore, the child molester. So, you tell me, if you were to nitpick for just to represent the entire party, the Republican Party is in far worse shape than the Democratic Party. And I'm not even that big of a fan of defending the Democratic Party that much, honestly, because they're not that great. But when you say the Democratic Party has been eaten by the far left and it's one of the most liberal, centrist, center-left organizations in the United States, you're an embarrassing person. You're an embarrassing person, Dave Rubin.